Hi, honeys. Welcome back to another episode of Girl Do It For You. It's me, Ashley, of course. So, we kind of touched on it in Tipsy Talk if you guys listened to the first one about a little tiny bit, not really too much. So, anyways, we're just going to get into it. Career choices. We have kind of somewhat touched on this in the past, but more so recently, I found myself just questioning everything and what I'm doing and my profession, and just like everything is confusing and I don't know what I want. How do people know what you want? How do you guys figure out a career? Because I don't know. I would love to podcast as my full-time job. I would love to content create, but that's just not it for me right now, and trying to figure out what is for me right now is the most difficult thing I think I've ever had to do. Trying to pick a career that like you're going to love for the rest of your life seems almost impossible. And I think I kind of want to normalize job hopping and switching your career. Like, there is nothing that says that when you get a degree and you find a job that you have to stick in it for 30, 40 years now. And I know, like 50 years ago, that was the thing. You got a job, you stuck with it because longevity meant something. Nowadays, it doesn't. Like, most jobs nowadays, sticking there for 10, 20 years doesn't get you anything, and it's just not beneficial. I heard a quote that said, if your current job you're not getting a pay increase or something substantial within 3 years, you should find a new job because the cost of living goes up, the cost of everything goes up, but your pay doesn't. Then there's a problem, and someone else, somewhere else, will pay you what you're worth. And I've kind of seen a lot of it lately where they pay people to get in the door, but they won't pay their current employees. And it's like, why? Like, pay the people you have because they have put in the time and effort and dedication, and that's what matters. But they just don't work like that. So it's like, if I'm not getting an increase within 3 years, I'm going to leave. Because why stay? And it's just like, at my job, I'm very lucky. I do get my increase, like all of the stuff. I have a very good job that I don't ever have to worry about that. Like, they go with the cost of living and they do that for us. It's very nice and it's very generous because I know not everywhere does. But I'm also at the point now where I'm like reevaluating my whole job, my whole career, my whole everything. But I'm not in a position to quit right now. Like, I'm not in a position to where I can just give up my job and figure it out. And that sucks, to be honest with you. Like, it sucks to not just be able to, I don't know, like do what you, I don't even know because I don't even know what I want to do. Like, I don't know if I want to stay in the position I'm in or if I want to switch my whole degree or if I just want to stay in the field I'm in but do it differently, because you can take one degree and you can do so many things with it. Like, you don't have to stick, it's not, you don't have to stick in one place, and just because you have a specific degree in one thing doesn't mean that that's where you have to stay. And don't let people pressure you into being like, well, you have a degree in that, so what are you going to do with it? I'll go back to school. I don't care. Like, it's okay. Do I want to go back to school at 25? No, I really don't. But if I have to, I have to. If I don't want to do what I'm doing and I need a new degree to do whatever it is that I figure out, then I will. I'm still trying to figure out if I if I want to go back to school, because I want to make sure if I'm going back to school that I'm going to love whatever it is I end up doing. Now, don't get me wrong, I do love my job. I do. But I'm just not sure if it's going to be the long haul for me anymore. Like, I genuinely don't know, and it's great, and I like my job, I like who I work with, it has really good benefits and everything like that. I have no intentions of leaving, but who's to say in 5 years this is what I'm gonna love it and I'm gonna want to keep doing it, because I feel like I'm not. But everyone changes, everyone evolves, and you don't have to stay in one place for life. You're never stuck. We're evolving, we're changing. You can do what you want. There's also just been times at my job where, because I'm so young, people doubt me and people question me, and I really hate it. It irks me on another level to where people doubt you because you're 25. Because I'm not 30 or 40 or whatever age they expect me to be, they think I'm wrong. And then I just sit there and I'll let them. I'm like, okay, yep. Because if I say that you're wrong and I try to say whatever it is that is right that I think, then I get nothing. It's no, 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 you're wrong. And now I'm just at the point, I'm like, okay, yep. And then I just do it my own way anyway. And then they're like, oh, I didn't. And I'm like, yeah, because you think you're a know it all and you doubt me all the time and you're not. And it's just the way they talk to you sometimes, the way they treat you because of your age. It sucks. It really does. But there's been stuff that like people just don't think that I'm qualified for, or because they don't think to ask. I've never been put in that position, so those skills haven't been applied, and that's why sometimes it's nice to go elsewhere to show that you can do these things. And they didn't see it, that's fine, move. You don't have to stay at one place. Like, it's okay to switch jobs. It's okay to job hop. Now, I'm not saying job hop every 6 months just because you don't like your coworker or your boss is an ass or whatever the reason, but if you are genuinely so unhappy, I feel like we should be able to just up and leave our jobs and figure it out and like go get a new career with like the judgment of society and everybody else being like, you just quit or you started over. What's so wrong with that? What's wrong with starting over at 25? Like, what's wrong with starting over at 35? Like, there's nothing wrong with going back to school. I actually think it's very, very hard, and I am very impressed by everybody who figures it out, because it's not as easy as when you were 16 and in high school, or even 18, 19 in college. Like, you have real bills now. You have real life problems that are harder, and you have to figure it out for yourself. You can't run to your parents. You can't just depend and live on home and that, like, you have to figure it out as an adult, and that's terrifying. And I think it's courageous when people go back to school and figure it out. Now, getting back into school is going to, if I go back to school, it's like really difficult apparently, because I already have a bachelor's degree, which I thought it would make it easier, but I guess, I don't know, there's a whole logistic thing. I have to like call the school, and it's just, it's a whole thing and a half. But in switching a career, I also think that it's good to not be in the mindset of this is all I can do. Like, your current job isn't all you can do. You can do different things, you can try different things, you can learn a new skill, you can go back to school, you can start a new job that you're probably more qualified for than you even realize half the time. I've noticed that a lot of people, when they find out I have a bachelor's degree in my current job, they're like, you're overqualified for this position. And I'm like, do you have any idea how hard it was for me to even get this job with what I have? And they're always just like shook. And I'm like, I struggled to get in here. Struggled. And they just don't believe me. And I'm like, it was fighting tooth and nail. It was really, really difficult. And like, it just is what it is. People just assume you have a college degree and like, bam, doors just open. And it's not realistic. And half the time, if you have a college degree, you get paid less than people without one. So you may as well just figure it out. Like, high school diploma, great. And also, you can get fired from a job tomorrow. You are replaceable at a job. Don't ever think you're not, because they will walk in and fire you just as faster than they hired you. They'll just be like out the door. And what are you supposed to do? Sit there and cry and be like, "What am I? This is all I know." No, you get yourself back up and you go find a new job that you are more respected at, that's better for you and probably pays better. But you go get a new job, and it's probably something that you never even thought you would end up doing, or maybe it's the exact same thing. But you'll figure it out. Because you can get through all those hard things, so why can't you quit a job and go back to school? Like, these are just all the things I think in my head. Like, if you get fired from a job and then you redo your whole life, people feel like that's more acceptable than if you quit a job willingly and then go back to school. And I also wish more people gave more understanding to people who are trying to put themselves through school. Like, more employers were more flexible to understand that people are trying to better themselves with it. But it is the most confusing thing in life, and when you're trying to change your entire career, because it's terrifying. What if it doesn't work? What if you fail? What if you end up hating it? But what if you are better than you've ever been before? What if you become the best in your class? What if you become the best in the whole new field that you've discovered, and you're like top of the line. What about that? There's so many pros and cons, but the pros always outweigh the cons, and it is always worth the risk because you don't ever want to look back and be like, what if I did this? And oh, in 20 years, hate your job, whatever. But then you're like, well, now I have this, I have kids, I have whatever, I can't go back to school, I can't afford to go back to school. There are so many things. There's so many reasons to not do things, but there's also like you have to find the one thing that will push you and do it. And I think that's what I'm struggling right now, is finding the one thing and just taking the leap. And it's difficult, and people talk about taking sacrifices and, you know, putting your head down and not spending money and saving a dollar. I am doing all of the things. I am taking the sacrifices. I am putting my head down. I am not spending money. I am so frugal with my money after the wedding. It's ridiculous. But people don't believe me, and people are like, you know, maybe cut back on the shopping sprees. I don't shop like I used to. Or maybe don't go to Target so often. Matthew is at Target right now without me. I did ask to go. But I had to work. I stayed home to work because this is what I wanted to do. And it's hard because it also feels like every month there's an expense. Every month there's something. People are like, just save. Just save. That's not just save. I freaking wish I could just save $1. Like, that's not how it is. I budget, I save my money, I do what I have to do, and I'm still struggling at the end of the day because they don't pay livable wages. So you want me to take a sacrifice and go back to school when I can barely afford to live on the paycheck I have, which would need me to cut hours. And it's so difficult, but finding the passion and the push and the drive within yourself to just push yourself to do it because you know in a year or two it will be worth it. It's hard. It is. I've been back and forth on this opinion for about a year now. And it's hard because we have a lot going on in life right now, and I'm not in a position to go back to school right now. But I'll figure it out. I'll make it work eventually. But people talk about sacrifices and people talk about putting your head down and all of this stuff until they're put in your shoes. And you can say to someone, put yourself in my shoes, and they'll just roll reverse it and be like, put yourself in my shoes. Okay, no, because we're talking about something for a minute. Like, just think of how difficult it is for people to really pull the plug on stuff and really just start it. Once you get started, getting started is half the battle. Just start sometimes. So like you have to start the savings, or you have to start this, but like putting your head down and just saving $1 or don't spend money is so unrealistic in this world. I walk outside and spend $20 every day without even like swiping my card because, oh, a subscription came out for my dog food, or their vet, whatever it's called, like their insurance, or our health insurance, or a credit card bill, or rent, or electric, or groceries, or my car needs gas, or, oh, flat tire, of course, at the most inconvenient time. Like, it's always one thing after another. And then every month, it was Christmas, and then it's New Year's, and then it's someone's birthday, and then it's Valentine's Day, and then there's other birthdays, and it's just like, when do you get a break? It feels like every single month there is something. And then you never see your friends, and then your friends you end up in a whole thing because your friends don't understand. And it's so difficult being 20 and being in your 20s and trying to figure out what the fuck you're supposed to do. I have never been more confused in my life. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm gonna be realistic. I have no idea what's happening. I don't know. Every day I'm just getting by. I am surviving, and that's about it. Like, it's so difficult to try and figure it out. The only advice I feel like I can give myself is just frickin' do it. Like, just rip off the band-aid, get started, figure it out later. I feel like what's the answer? Because I have no idea. Anyone has any idea, let me know. And I also feel like so many people look at me and they'll be like, oh, you're so lucky, you have life figured out, or this, that, and the other because you're married and you have a place. And I'm like, that's not life being figured out. What the fuck? Who decided that was life being figured out? I have no idea what I'm doing 99% of the time. We are surviving the day one day at a time. Sometimes it is an hour, a minute at a time till we get through the day. Like, it really just depends. And it'll be stressful. It'll be so stressful and heartbreaking and exhausting. But I feel like once you get to the point of you did it, you won't even remember half of it. You won't remember the exhaustion. You won't remember, because you'll just be so glad you did it. And I know I can tell myself that because I made it through college once and almost gave up twice and switched my major like 4 times. So I know how hard it can be, and I know how rewarding it was, but it's also just like, now I don't really use my bachelor's degree. And like, I don't want to make that mistake twice. I don't want to go through school and hate it later. I also, do I want to admit this on the internet? Okay, well, we're going to. I am almost 99% positive the career field I'm in was not for me. I didn't pick my career based on what I wanted and based on my happiness. I based it on someone else's and what they wanted of me and what they expected of me. And that was quite possibly the worst thing I've ever done. And I really think that that's why I'm where I am of wanting to go back to school, because this isn't what I wanted. I didn't want this type of degree. I didn't want to go through school when I went through school, but I had so much pressure of you have to, so I did. I picked a degree and I did it. And that's why my degree changed 50 million times. Because I felt like I had to. When someone tells you multiple times that you can't do something, like, it just makes you want to do it harder. Someone says you can't do that, you're not capable of that, or you couldn't, and they look down on you, it just makes you want to do it even harder. And I went and got a whole degree. Like, shouldn't have fucking done that, but here I am 4 years later, like, what the fuck did I do? Good thing is, it's not life threatening, it doesn't, destroy my life or anything, but it makes things complicated because now I have to figure out who I am and what I want without that person telling me that. And it took me a really, really long time to admit that, because I didn't want to believe that for a really long time, that someone controlled my life like that. I didn't ever want to admit that I let someone like make me think that I couldn't do something, so much so that I made myself say that I had to prove a point. What point am I proving 4 years later? What? Not proving it to them. I'm just proving to myself that, I can't make a decision. Or that I do stuff just because people tell me you can't do it and it makes me want to do it. And it's like, no, I need to do what makes me happy and prioritize myself and not everybody else's opinion, because it doesn't fucking matter. What people have to say about you is none of your business. I promise. People are going to talk shit. They're going to talk shit fucking regardless. It's the same thing as when they say, baby, he's going to tell everyone you were crazy anyway. Be crazy. Not quite. People are going to talk shit regardless. Let them. At least enjoy your life. And when they're away running their mouth because they're sad and that's all they have, you know that you're happy and secure in all of your choices, that you're not sitting thinking about it, being like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Oh, this or that. No. I know, I'm good. You talk whatever shit you want to talk. And I'm okay over here. If you want to say that that's not, like, I couldn't do whatever it was and that's why I went the field that I went, that's fine. You want to believe that, you want to believe that. But, like, at the end of the day, I know the truth. And I'll know why I'm in school for whatever I'm in school with. And that applies to so many things in life. But career-wise, please, please, please don't be me. Please don't pick a career based on someone else's opinion of you and what they think you should do or shouldn't do. You need a job that's going to make you happy. And people say, love your job so much it doesn't feel like work. Work's always going to feel like work. I'm sorry. A job is always going to feel like a job. It is what it is. But love it enough or like it enough that you enjoy getting out of bed in the morning. You enjoy going to work. Love it that way. And I think I need to take a little bit of my own advice because I didn't do that. And I'm forever regretting it. And I need to fix it. So I will keep you guys updated on if I go back to school, if I end up riding out where I'm at, if I don't know, figure it out. This obviously cannot happen. Like, now this is going to take a lot of time and talking to my husband. He knows about it, but this is going to take a lot of thought and process and everything. Also, FAFSA, financial aid, hates married couples without children. Like, why? Why can't I get financial aid? I don't have enough money to pay 10 grand for school and you're not going to give me any help because we're married and we don't have kids. Like, we still don't have money. We don't have disposable income. We don't make like bucko bucks. So I'm confused on how you would ever assume that I can afford to go back to school like that. It's just crazy, but I'll have to do all the scholarships. But I'll keep you guys updated. Thanks for listening to my rant on what the hell I'm doing with my life because I have no idea. And I just feel like you're not alone if you feel like that. If you're confused and you can't figure out what the fuck's going on and you don't know what you're doing with your life. Hi. Me too. Like, you're not alone. I feel like everyone in their mid-20s is probably going through the same thing. Even if you're in your fucking 30s, like, you're entitled to be confused because guess what? Life, this is your first time living it. You're figuring it out as you go. Give yourself some grace. It's okay. It's fucking difficult, but it's okay. I love you guys. Bye, honeys.